Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it is? It used to be 3 or 4, but I don't know what it is now.
I was gonna say 4, but
Well, way back when,
yeah,
I think it's been raised.
yeah, it probably has.
I saw some article and, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I better go see if there's any love letters in my mailbox.
No, what do you, oh, is your niece still bothering you?
It always will.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, you go ahead, I don't know if you.
Yeah, I've had 4
I'm
surgeries
surgeries on
on
your
it.
knees, yeah.
Yeah, it's as good as it'll get.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least you can still walk and you're up and
On the
around.
side of the
and-
carpet.
Huh?
Use it on the side of the carpet.
That's right, that's right. They probably won't have citizen input tonight, will they? It's not on the agenda.
What's that?
Citizens input? It's not on the agenda, so probably not.
Probably not.
Do you know what our ceiling debt limit is? Our debt ceiling is?
No, I don't.
What the fuck, hold anymore?
He'll be here by then, that's.
I don't think they'll answer questions now, so. Are you missing not going to Hawkeye?
No,
No.
I haven't.
You were there a long time on that board.
Yeah, I haven't, really been going anyway. Just with COVID and everything,
Yeah.
so. I went to my first board meeting just last month,
Hmm.
otherwise I'd be zooming in.
Well, I thought you weren't on the board.
Pardon?
I thought you weren't on the board of Hawkeye anymore.
No, I am, I'm going off now.
Oh, you are going off now.
I'm not running anymore.
What's that big sigh for, Coley?
Oh. Yeah.
Thanks for it.
How we doing?
Coley, do I need to call you tomorrow to find out what our debt ceiling is for the city of Jessup?
What our debt ceiling is?
Used to be 3 or 4. I don't know what it is now.
How we doing? 3 or 4? No, it's way more than that.
It went up there. Okay.
It was never that low. It's in there, on
10
there.
years ago?
Huh?
10 years ago?
It was never that low. No.
Oh.
No. I think that's on the annual financial report. I remember right.
It's your shoes creeping and not your knees.
That was his chair and my knee.
You found my jail. Hey. Hey, let's do. What do you want me to do?
hop along.
I'm
Got 2 minutes. Got 2 minutes.
Hi, Dave.
I think I should have brought my crutches today.
What do you do?
Oh, I had scoped
Ouch.
Thursday.
Mm.
Not as young as you used to be, Dave.
I know it, I know. I'm getting there.
Need any extra medical equipment? I've got walkers, canes, knee braces, you know.
I keep a pair of crutches on reserve, just in case, you never know.
The Lions Club has a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay, you're taking business away from me.
Oh. You charge for yours?
No. It's kind of an in-house thing here.
We are streaming.
We'll call this meeting to order at 7:30. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everybody could put their mics on, make sure the button's pushed down.
Could the clerk call a roll of the council?
Denny Bell,
Here.
David Bishop,
Here.
Curtis Shares,
Here.
Craig Wright, Todd Rolfs.
Here. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. That motion passes. Then our main item tonight is a resolution to put language on, for a bond referendum at the November election. Maggie from Spear Financials proposed several different options here. Different borrowing amounts from $2 million to $3 million. Some of them are 12 years, some of them are 15 years. Probably the thing we're most concerned with would be the green column. That's how much we're levying for debt service each year. Right now, we're about
3.67.
3.67, so all of these keep that debt service levy pretty even. Some of them, you notice, after like 3 years, there's room to take out another bond.
Now, we're not picking one of these tonight. It's
It's
just,
just scenarios to look at.
informational. Right.
Yeah, the only thing that we're deciding tonight is whether to put this on the ballot for November or not. Borrow up to $3 million. We could choose a lesser amount tonight if we wanted to, but we can't go over $3 million because that's what we put on the agenda, was $3 million. You kinda wanna update everybody on the project, Todd?
In front of you, you've got a drawing done by Levi Architecture. This is buildings up on the Youngblood property north of the parking lot for the school. Just working from right to left or left to right, however you want to say it. We left room for 6th Street to continue to go north on the right side of the on the right side of the map. You can see that where the X's and the slanted lines are at. The building that we're looking at is the one dead center. It's got room for a daycare center in the front, approximately 3,000 square feet for a retail space in the middle there. And then another area for a multi-purpose room. It's about 6,500 square feet for a multi-purpose room community center. We've been, as you know, the daycare board surveyed the community and identified that there was a need for a daycare center. This building's got 4,000 square feet for a play area for the daycare center. The 3,000 square feet, we have a business man that has approached the mayor and has expressed an interest to rent that facility or that area. And then the community center, multi-purpose room, gymnasium, whatever you want to call it, is to the north there. The parking lot is as you see it. This has another drawing of another building on the left-hand side. That is not going to happen. We're in talks with another business to locate in that area, but that's just not going to happen. So that'll be space available for sale, available for build out and lease or whatever. Just be green space. But the parking lot will be as it is, as it's drawn on the map. Basically pretty much it in a nutshell. Levi Architecture, we've not hired them, but been working with Dan on these drawings. He says he's got a budget of $3.5 million for this. I have talked to a actual builder who does Butler type buildings, and one thing he pointed out, that little jog out there to the left, every time you make a corner it adds costs. So he said, get rid of that and move the retail space back a little bit and just make it a rectangular type building. His costs to do the whole facility, not the groundwork or anything like that, is a couple $1 million. So we're anywhere between $2 and $3.5 million. That's what it amounts to. So Maggie ran different scenarios based off of borrowing the $2 million and all the way up to $3 million, 12-year maturity, 15-year maturity. We have room for it. In fact, it goes down in 2 or 3 years where we can continue to work on other projects should they come forth. We had the what I'm going to call a focus group meet to kind of get ideas on what could this facility be, this and that and other thing. That was beginning of COVID, however you want to say it, and so I told them, I said, we're going to continue to work with this concept. At that time, we did have the hospital involved. They have since changed their mind and are not doing anything. Steve Schlusher was their CEO at the time. He has since left. They're looking for a new one. Heard from a couple different sources, one being a board member, that they don't want us to not do this, just wait on them. That's not what they're all about. They're not sure what, if anything, they're going to do down there as far as wellness center or whatever you want to call it. So the retail space would fit quite nicely in this whole concept. We're not allowed to talk about who it is publicly yet, but it would fit quite nicely in there. In fact, the other business that would have been in there would have been a Cat's Meow. We would have had a real nice campus up there, but stuck in the one building right now.
And we've been talking quite a bit with the school. They're
Yeah.
very willing to be active partners in the operation of this if it gets built.
Is that area to the north of the 6,500 square feet, is that big enough for like to use as a gym for like a basketball game? I don't know what those regulations
Yes.
are. It is.
Yes. Yes.
So the school could utilize that as a,
Yeah, it'd be a rec center, gymnasium, whatever, and the school would probably manage the whole thing when it's all said and done.
A lot of youth practices.
yeah. I just
Yeah,
didn't know.
I wanna say we met with the hospital, when the focus group got done and we kept talking, we met twice with the school, the city, and the hospital. And, then the hospital bowed out, and then we met with the school three or four more times, just to kind of talk what ifs, and this is kind of what we came up with. They're excited about it, obviously, because it would round out the rec program in the community. Retail space, I'm pretty sure he's excited about it from what we've gathered. And the daycare folks are ecstatic. It's based off of the survey that was done in the community and the results of that. And, you know, I think the daycare group has been scouring, whatever you want to call it, the internet or the grant world, for lack of better words, to see what grants they might be able to get. Identified one that actually is for building. So at the end of the day, maybe they could help with the cost of this. That's lowering the borrowings.
How many kids or whatever's the daycare able?
58.
58.
Built to hold 58
58
kids,
kids.
newborn to 3 years of age. From 3, they can go to the school, or maybe even, I don't know, St. A's talking about maybe doing something too, so. There's a lot of moving parts yet, I'll be the first to tell all of you. I mean, even if this vote was successful, I wouldn't advise to move forward with it until we had a lease for the retail space and some sort of an agreement on the daycare center. Because it's always been kind of in the back of my mind that the rent from the daycare center and from the retail space would be paid to the city, and then that would offset the day-to-day operating costs of the gymnasium. To some extent, I mean, there would be such a big cost factor, for lack of better words. So, you know, those two things have to fall into place before, you know, they have to be buttoned up in writing, in blood, whatever you want to say, before go forward with this completely. That's just good business, I'm sorry, that's just.
Would the daycare provide their own staff, I'm assuming, or would they be
Yes.
city employees?
No, own staff.
Okay.
Yeah, the board's in talks with people to take care of that day-to-day operation as well. But again, that would have to be buttoned up and in writing before,
Things rolling.
before things roll,
Yeah.
you know. The risk, we want to lower the risk as much as possible. You know, you look at the borrowings. Now, I wish I could have borrowed money at 2%. You know, so, wow. We have room for it. Our debt service goes down in 2 or 3 years, and so we could borrow again on some of the project that might exceed the interest.
like Todd said, there's still a lot of moving parts to this, but it's really important that we get the voter approval to borrow, $3 million or whatever that amount is, because that's going to bring a lot of these other people a lot more serious talks with the city. Then we got the opportunity to go out there for grants, knowing that the city can fund the remainder of it. It's really hard to do that when we don't know if we're gonna get voter approval on it or not.
Get something more concrete
Yeah.
before we, yeah.
Well, it's gotta start with a vote, at the end of the day, we put it to the citizens, and that's the only way to do it, in my opinion. We talked about just doing it on a private level, an entity be created and build the building and this, that, and other thing, and it doesn't work.
I think this is a smarter approach,
Well,
You know.
it's one approach.
which makes sense.
Yeah, it's one approach. I mean, but it kills 2-3 birds with one stone. I've said from the very beginning, if we're not going forwards, we're going backwards, and this to me is. But, we'll put it up to the people and.
Yep.
This is, again, there's been a lot of things happening, meetings, talks, discussions. I've got to delete my emails because Farmers Mutual Telephone Company says I got too many emails. That just gives you the idea of what's all been happening here. And it's just taken a long time to get this whole thing put together to what you're seeing tonight. Before we have the vote in November, my goal is to get the focus group back together again to show them this. I've got a couple other drawings here, a sample building, one that I found, what it might look like, this, that, another thing. I'll get in.
We didn't
get in-
move.
Everybody move?
Stand up, Mike.
I thought I'd get Jessup Economic Development Group back together again, show them the same thing, and start educating and talking about it and this, that, and other thing. So, that's the plan going forward, depending upon what we do tonight. And last thing I'll say, if it's 3 million, and if that's what gets approved, that's what we'll borrow, but if we can borrow less, that's definitely gonna be the case. I'd like to put, I'd say this properly, but some pressure on the daycare board to do some grants and. Yeah, they got all kinds of grants for the insides, for the desks and chairs and cribs and and the playground stuff for the little kids, but nothing for 4 walls. Well, Becky Elson, bless her heart, found something for 4 walls, so fast and furious. They can help pay for part of this. But that's not, a grant is a grant. We don't, we're blessed and cursed in this community. For us to get a grant is,
It's tough. It's tough.
we have high income levels here and this, that, and other things, so. But they'll try, I'm sure they'll try.
My concern with the 3 million is that ties up most of our existing debt capacity for the next 12 years. So to do any other projects, then we would have to raise taxes to do those. I was looking, right now we're at about $14.44 for a tax levy. Within the last 6 years, we've been as high as $14.99. So, we have been kind of gradually rolling it back. If we went up another quarter to 50 cents. I don't think would be way out of line, but I personally don't wanna go much higher than that.
I wouldn't want to either. So 3 million takes it above that?
No, it just doesn't leave much room to do any other projects. On this, be the third page is a $3 million one. She did for 12 years. So we only get like 60 cents after 3 years. And really not a whole lot out of that after that for the next 12 years. And I know that we get approval for $3 million, doesn't mean that we're gonna spend $3 million, but you know, a lot of people, that's gonna be a dollar amount in their head, is $3 million.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I'm not married
Yeah,
to
I
3
mean, if we
million,
could-
I'm not married to 3 million at all, you know? If you guys think of, you know, something different, you know, then I'm all ears.
We'd have to either find another revenue source to pay for it, or put it off for a couple of years, or raise taxes.
Well, the county's not ready for it.
Right. And there's no guarantee how quickly this is gonna move either. I don't know, I think that 2.5 million kinda leaves us more room to do with some other stuff. I think it might be an easier sell. I don't wanna short us on the project, but it might just be contingent on getting a grant or something to fill up that other, or changing the project scope a little bit to get it down to 2.5. I just don't wanna,
Yep, nope.
I don't wanna ask for too much and see nothing happen.
I'm with you. I don't disagree whatsoever.
Anybody else have any thoughts down there?
I think I'd rather go to the 25. Then we'd have a little more space. If something came up, you know, that we need to get done or could have gotten done, you know, we'd have room for that too, instead of going right to the max right away.
Whatever you make that number, if you lower it tonight, you can't exceed it later. So, but if you leave it at, and I'm not saying leave it at 3, but if you leave it at 3, you can always not borrow 3, borrow 2.5. So,
Yeah, we could sit at 2.5 and borrow 2 million.
right, yeah, right.
Be an even better case scenario.
But you can't borrow 2.7 million
Yeah.
later on. Just so everybody's aware.
Whatever you think you can get voter approval for and still get the project that we
Yeah.
wanna get done.
Yeah, that number is kind of a fine line. If you're trying to get voter approval, and you have to get 60% of the voters. It's not just a simple majority.
This is gonna take place at the same time as
The general election in
City-
November, city election.
School election, yeah,
that. Like,
yeah.
they're gonna continue their same amount, right? School. Isn't theirs falling off this year and they're putting it back on, whatever, for improvements? That,
I don't know what the school's doing.
I'm sorry.
Isn't the schools falling off this year and they're voting to continue it? Why don't you-
They're talking about, some long-range stuff and this, that, and everything, and if I remember reading the newspaper correctly, what they're looking at doing is a net neutral,
Yes, that's what I'm saying,
Neutral.
it's falling off this
Neutral.
year and they're
yeah.
voting.
Replacing it with something else, or
Yes, to
something,
continue to
something.
rate the same.
Not, I don't know if they're gonna do it this fall, or if they're
I
gonna do
think
it,
it's this fall.
is it this fall
Because
they're
I think
talking
it's
about
falling
now?
off this fall. So we're gonna have to maybe both pass in November. Which I don't know if that's gonna,
Did- They didn't vote on that at the last election, did they? I think it might have been on the ballot the last
I don't know,
November.
Rob keeps saying that it's this
Oh.
one, but you know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not 1,000% sure, but I'm pretty positive that they're gonna try to extend it
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, yeah, I know they are, just with all their improvements, I just
Yep.
don't know when they're gonna do their vote.
Oh,
They're
does it
gonna-
not have to be done in a certain?
I don't think it has to be done this November, it could be done at a different time,
Okay, I would,
you know?
yeah, not,
That I know for sure, doesn't have to be this
It doesn't have to
November,
be this
no,
November,
it could
okay.
be next March.
okay, I didn't know if all
Whatever.
elections had, you know.
But I know
all-
the article said it was a neutral,
Yes, that, yeah.
but they may throw it on November, I don't know. And anything that would indicate that.
Hey Todd, is the 2.5 million, is that a doable figure? I mean, as far as being able to do the project and do it right, do you think?
Well, a lot of it's gonna depend upon the skin, do you want it that, or will you be satisfied with a Butler building type thing with a little bit of a brick wall, which that's what I have in my head. Keep the cost down, I mean, you could spend $5 million in a heartbeat, it's not another thing that I'm not interested in. None of us are, I'm not, I don't know about you guys are. We don't have room for that, number one is the city, and the school's got their 5-year program, which, I've been told that it might be 10 years, before they get some of these things that they're talking about, just because.
Yeah.
But, they're doing their thing and we're trying to do our thing, and this would be a really, really nice joint project between both organizations, and
I heard today this was a $300 million project, so we've already cut it 10%, so I think we're doing okay. That was a rumor today, I heard, so.
we sure could be, I'm sure Dan could put what in there you wanted, and it could be huge.
We could have a new Unidome for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and I, we haven't hired Dan or anything like that, he's been gracious enough to do this, just out of the kindness of his heart, because his, he'd like to be the architect on this thing, which I understand, but he's got a passion for daycare. He is all about daycare. I mean, that guy could tell you how many spoons and knives you need in the drawers for a daycare center of this size. He is that good about it. It's really cool to sit down and talk to him about this sort of stuff. He's just passionate about it. He's kind of known in the state for being an architect for daycares. That's my take on it anyway. And it's really interesting to listen to him talk. But again, he's an architect, and they get paid based on the size of the project.
I think the big opportunity that we have now is that we have school administration that's really willing to work with us on this project. And also, the daycare group, they've already done a lot of this legwork. They're willing to step in and help out as much as they can. It's not just a city project in the end. We're gonna be the ones that build a building, but there's a lot of outside participation that's gonna make this work.
So do you think 2.5 million will be big enough? I mean, cause the last thing we want is a space that's not big enough and now it can't be used for what we want it to be used for and then it sits there empty, because we didn't do it right.
It's a crapshoot, at the end of the day. 2.5 million fits, 2 million fits, 3 million fits, you know, it's,
The thing is, we're gonna materials go up, so if you, it's something that's not deliverable in the next years, will be built in the next couple of years, and those prices will change.
you gotta have, you know, it's, yeah, 2.5 million, I wouldn't have. I'd make a motion, $2.5 million there.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? That'll be a roll call vote.
Rolfson,
Yes.
Shares,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
That resolution passes. Then we have an agreement with Ayers and Cooney for bond counsel.
So this just goes with the 2.5 million when we're ready, you know, it's just getting them on board. Whenever we need documents from them, at what point in time, you know, that is, we have this agreement in place for it. So these just two go together, but there's no, you know, whenever we do the first one, then you need the second one. So.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Bell,
Yes.
Rolfson.
Yep.
Shares,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
That passes. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. That motion passes. We're adjourned at 8:01. 8 o'clock.
I can't see.
I'm looking at the computer.